Kouri Richins, the Utah mother accused of spiking her husband's cocktail with a fatal dose of fentanyl, has made her first public comment since her arrest last year, and we're going to bring those to you. The audio and all, which were originally obtained by Dateline NBC. In a series of jailhouse statements provided exclusively to them this week, Richins criticized prosecutors, asserts her innocence, and describes the recent upheaval in the case as forced. Richins, who's 43, who's been held in the Summit County Jail since a judge denied her bail last week, expressed frustration over being separated from her family, saying, "I've been silent for a year, locked away from my kids, my family, living with the media, telling the world who they think I am, what they think I've done, or how they think I've lived." She said, "It's a time to start speaking up. You took an innocent mom away from her babies, and that means war." Let's take a listen to that statement.
Oh, dear. Let's hear what she has to say about that.
My defense team has been forced to withdraw from my case. Represented or not, we all know and should understand there's only so much I can say. But what I will say is this withdrawal was not my choice, and it was not a personal choice of any counsel on my defense team. I'm anxious. I'm anxious to prove my innocence. I'm anxious to get to trial, and I'm ready to get this one heck of a fight. You took an innocent mom away from her babies. I've been silent for a year, ripped away from my kids, my family, my life, living with the media, telling the world who they think I am, what they think I've done, or how they think I've lived. And it's time to start speaking up.
Kind of sounds like a high school kid reading a script for a high school play, kind of, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it feels like it.
It feels like this. It feels like that. Like, if you're, like, really, I think, being honest with everything, I think it would have a little different canter. I don't know. Everybody does everything different. That's just my observations on it. The comments come after a judge granted her lawyers a request to withdraw from the defense against charges of aggravated murder and other crimes in the death of her husband, Eric Richins, 39. On March 4th, 2022, Richins' lead attorney, Sky Lazaro, cited an irreconcilable and non-waivable situation as the reason for the withdrawal. So what the fuck does that mean?
That's not good.
That is typically what you would see when you found out information that you can't defend, or your client literally admitted guilt, or you found evidence where it was irrefutable guilt. And you can't then represent
they don't feel
that.
like they can defend her and keep their license.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because if they're guilty, you can't go to your attorney and say, "I'm guilty," argue that I'm not. That's not how that works. I mean, at least with reputable attorneys, it's not. In one statement, Richins said she was filled with great devastation over her defense team's withdrawal, saying, quote, "My defense team has been forced to withdraw from my case. Represented or not, we all know and should understand there's only so much I can say. But what I will say is this withdrawal was not my choice, and it was not a personal choice of any counsel on my defense's team." Well, I kind of doubt that, Kouri. The withdrawal request was filed the same day Richins' lawyers asked a judge to disqualify prosecutors due to severe violations that compromised their defense and violated Richins' constitutional rights to do effective counsel. The filing alleges that from May to December last year, authorities recorded jail calls between Richins and her lawyers without their consent, some of which were listened to by prosecutors, which, if that is true, is a great way to fuck up a case.
Yep.
Now, we don't know that that is true. These are allegations from Kouri Richins. But if that is true, that's illegal, and you can't do that. And if you'd like to get a murderer or an alleged murderer possibly free, go ahead and do that sort of shit. That's the sort of shit that will get someone the case dismissed. So let's not...
highly unethical.
Let's not fuck around with things like that when we don't need to fuck around with things like that. When defense lawyers discovered the practice and questioned prosecutors, Summit County's top elected prosecutor, Margaret Olson, initially denied awareness. However, lead prosecutor Brad Bloodworth, there's a fucking name for a prosecutor. Hey, who's the prosecutor?
That's a tough name for an attorney.
Who's the prosecutor on your case? Brad Bloodworth. Call now. If you've been in an accident, Bloodworth will be there to save you, and he'll get blood from whoever fucked you over. Bloodworth. 1-800-BLOOD. You know, that's how that works.
Nice. Nice.
When lawyers discover the practice in question, okay, we already did that part. How far did I get into that? However, Brad Bloodworth later claimed that one of the defense lawyers had refused to use a phone app that shields attorney-client calls, resulting in the recordings. Bloodworth asserted that prosecutors had not listened to the calls and suggested that by not using the app, the lawyer had seemingly consented to the practice. You better know what the fuck app you're using, Brad Bloodworth.
Yeah.
Richins accused prosecutors of doing anything they can to prolong the process and hide their corruption. I will not play into the prosecution's unconstitutional behavior anymore. She expressed a strong desire to clear her name, stating, although I am extremely disappointed where we're at right now in the case, I'm anxious to prove my innocence. I'm anxious to get to trial. Olson's office responded to the allegations, labeling the defense's lawyer's motion to disqualify prosecutors as materially inaccurate and filed in bad faith, which could have been. The county's attorney's office plans to address the motion formally on May 31st, which should be interesting. I don't know why they just don't address it right now if there's nothing to hide. Prosecutors alleged that Richins was deeply in debt, fraudulently obtained nearly $2 million in life insurance and a policy on her husband before giving him a Moscow Mule spiked with a lethal dose of fentanyl. They also charged Richins with attempted murder, forgery, and mortgage and insurance fraud. Yeah. 1 year after Eric Richins died, Kouri Richins published Are You With Me? A children's book about grief dedicated to her amazing husband, who she was cheating on. Despite the charges, Richins and her family have maintained her innocence.
I think the most damning part of what they've got against her isn't just the fact that the guy died by fentanyl from a drink that she made, but the fact that he told his family, if anything happens to me, look at her. Or
the fact that she bought like $900 worth of fentanyl. And her dealer
there might be that. Okay, so there's a couple things.
And her dealer is testifying against her. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the deck is stacked against this chick. So I don't know what her people are going to come forward with that could possibly exonerate her, but I don't see this ending well for her at all.
I think that's why they left. Because if you have a chance to win this case, this is a high-profile case. Attorneys don't want to walk away from a high-profile case if they have a good shot at winning it. I mean, sometimes they'll even dive into them when there's not a good chance at winning it, just for the publicity. But if you know it's just like, this shit ain't going to happen, you're going to walk away. And if there's, material differences between her and her counsel, and they just cannot reconcile that, to me, I'm not an attorney, but I know many of them. And I'm curious to ask some next week about this. To me, that says, and I could be wrong, that, look, you're going to have to do a plea deal. And other than that, there's no options. And she's saying, I'm not going to take that plea deal. And they're like, well, fuck you then. We can't represent you. That's what I'm getting out of it. Again, not an attorney. I don't know. Talk to a lot of them every day. That would be my guess. Could be completely wrong. But there's something up there why they withdrew, something very damning that would not be a good reflection on them. And that's why they said, peace out, Kouri.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.